In a defining moment for American democracy, the nation's highest courts have delivered a resounding verdict. No one, not even a former president, stands above the law. The principle of accountability, long a cornerstone of the Republic, is being tested and upheld in real time. Today, we examine how the justice system has rejected sweeping claims of immunity and cleared the path for serious legal proceedings against a former commander in chief. This is World View. Before we start, wherever you're watching or listening from, drop a comment, hit like, and subscribe to the channel. Today, we'll continue this conversation in the comments and respond to your questions. The American justice system has sent a powerful and unambiguous signal. Serving as president, even for a single term, does not confer lifelong immunity from criminal prosecution. Over the past several years, repeated attempts to invoke absolute protection, to sidestep responsibility through prolonged legal maneuvers, or to argue that the office itself creates an unbreakable barrier have been firmly turned aside by federal judges and appellate panels. What unfolds now represents one of the most significant chapters in modern U.S. history, a former national leader facing a wide array of grave criminal charges that carry the real prospect of conviction and incarceration. At the heart of this development lies a fundamental constitutional question. Can the presidency ever place an individual beyond the reach of ordinary criminal law? The answer, as articulated by multiple courts, is unequivocal: it cannot. When a person who once wielded immense executive authority begins to view themselves as exempt from the rules that govern everyone else, the very foundations of democratic governance begin to weaken. The system of checks and balances relies on a single, non-negotiable premise. Every citizen, regardless of past position or influence, must answer for their conduct under the law. This moment arrives after years of intense scrutiny and litigation. Prosecutors at both the federal and state levels have pursued parallel investigations into a broad spectrum of alleged wrongdoing. These include accusations of financial impropriety, obstruction of official processes, attempts to undermine certified election results, mishandling of sensitive government materials, and violations of tax laws. Each case stands on its own merits, yet together they form an unprecedented legal challenge. The outcomes of these proceedings will not only determine individual accountability, but will also establish enduring standards for how those who hold or have held high office must conduct themselves. No longer can there be doubt about the seriousness of the situation. The former president now confronts an extensive docket of criminal allegations, many of which involve felonies that carry substantial penalties. The possibility of prison sentences is not hypothetical. It is a tangible reality that looms larger with each judicial decision. Courts in Washington, D.C., New York, Florida, Georgia, and elsewhere have consistently emphasized that assertions of unlimited executive immunity have clear and enforceable boundaries. Efforts to delay trials indefinitely through procedural challenges have met repeated rejection. Federal and state authorities have demonstrated unwavering resolve. Prosecutors continue to build their cases methodically, presenting evidence that appears robust to legal observers. In one key area, the handling of classified documents, allegations center on the unauthorized retention and potential mishandling of national security materials after leaving office. If substantiated, such charges could result in severe consequences under federal statutes designed to protect sensitive information. Similarly, investigations into efforts to challenge the 2020 election outcome focus on coordinated actions alleged to have sought to alter certified results. These include claims of conspiracy and obstruction that strike at the core of democratic processes. Prosecutors argue that such conduct, if proven, represents a direct threat to the peaceful transfer of power, a principle essential to the republic's stability. Financial matters add another layer of complexity. Accusations of tax evasion involve years of allegedly unreported income and questionable business practices. In separate proceedings, civil fraud claims have centered on inflated asset valuations used to secure favorable loans and insurance terms. While one major civil judgment was later modified on appeal, the underlying allegations continue to exert pressure through related criminal inquiries. The cumulative weight of these cases is extraordinary. Legal experts note that if multiple convictions occur and sentences run consecutively, as is permissible under the law, the total time served could span decades. For an individual in their later years, even a single extended sentence could effectively amount to life imprisonment. This scale of exposure has no precedent in American history. No former or sitting president has ever faced criminal jeopardy across so many fronts simultaneously. Judicial rulings have systematically dismantled key defense strategies. One of the most significant involved claims of absolute immunity for actions taken while in office. The D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, in a unanimous decision before the matter reached the Supreme Court, rejected the notion that former presidents enjoy blanket protection from prosecution. The Supreme Court later refined this framework, granting absolute immunity for core official acts, but making clear that unofficial conduct and actions outside the scope of presidential authority remain fully prosecutable. This distinction has allowed prosecutors to advance cases involving personal or private conduct without obstruction. Another critical defense, the concept of a self-pardon, has been thoroughly discredited. No court has ever upheld the idea that a president can issue a pardon to themselves. Constitutional scholars point out that the pardon power exists to extend mercy to others, not to serve as a tool for self-protection. Allowing such an action would undermine the separation of powers and create an intolerable conflict of interest. The absence of any legal foundation for self-pardons has removed what some viewed as a potential final safeguard. Evidence gathered during congressional impeachment proceedings has also been cleared for use in criminal trials. Courts have ruled that materials collected through legislative oversight can be shared with prosecutors, creating a direct bridge between political accountability and criminal enforcement. This integration strengthens the overall case, as impeachment inquiries produced extensive documentation and testimony relevant to ongoing prosecutions. Financial pressures compound the legal challenges. Civil penalties, even when adjusted on appeal, have imposed significant obligations. Asset valuations, property holdings, and business operations face ongoing scrutiny, with court orders requiring compliance through sales, transfers, or other measures. This erosion of resources makes sustaining a comprehensive legal defense increasingly difficult. The dual burden of mounting criminal exposure and dwindling financial means creates a precarious position. As proceedings advance, federal trials draw nearer. Schedules in multiple jurisdictions reflect steady progress, with judges limiting further delays and enforcing compliance with discovery requests. The public attention these cases attract will be immense, with national debate centering on themes of accountability, the rule of law, and the limits of executive power. What emerges from this landscape is a reaffirmation of core democratic values. The judiciary has acted decisively to ensure that former office does not confer perpetual exemption. Each ruling reinforces that the law applies equally, regardless of past authority or influence. Prosecutors, judges, and legal professionals carry forward their duties with determination, upholding the principle that power must be exercised responsibly and that violations carry consequences. This unfolding story holds implications far beyond any single individual. It establishes precedents that will guide future administrations, signaling that attempts to abuse authority or evade oversight will meet institutional resistance. The strength of American governance depends on such safeguards. As these cases proceed through trials, potential convictions, and appeals, they test the resilience of the system and remind citizens of the enduring importance of equal justice under law. Observers from across the political spectrum watch closely. Supporters of accountability see validation of long-held principles. Others express concern about the politicization of justice, yet the courts have maintained their independence, focusing on evidence, precedent, and constitutional text rather than partisan considerations. In the end, the message is clear and enduring. The presidency is a position of immense responsibility, not a shield against personal wrongdoing. No one is above the law. The justice system, through careful and deliberate process, continues to prove that accountability remains a vital force in preserving the republic. As developments continue, Worldview will keep you informed on every step of this historic journey.